Everybody, it's Monica Heltz with your Daily Fishers Health Department update. I just wanted to follow up on a couple of items from our update yesterday, where we talked about our community risk rating scale and metrics. First of all, we are seeing a sharp increase in cases across the state, and I think it's important to note that and to watch that. You can look very clearly on the state's dashboard, and they show that sharp increase in the number of cases that we're seeing. It is not because of an increase in testing, because our slight increasing the amount of tests that we're doing is not explaining that sharp increase in the number of cases. I would also mention that although our district is doing pretty well with our hospitalizations and ICU beds and all of those things, we are not stretched at this point. Across the state, those metrics are going up. We're seeing increases in ICU admissions, ER visits, and hospitalizations. So we will keep an eye on that because we are affected by the rest of the state. We're not seeing it in our area quite yet. We do find that most of our cases are still in our 20 to 29-year-olds, and in fact, in our county, 40% of all of our cases are under the age of 30. So it's important to keep in mind that those of you who are younger really are contributing to a large amount of this disease burden right now. Hopefully, you will get out of your illness unscathed and without any serious consequences. We do know that it does have the potential to give people serious consequences and often long-term effects. We also know that we haven't suffered any mortality, any deaths in people under the age of 30 in our county, and we're so glad for that. But please do use a lot of extra caution, even if you yourself did not suffer serious consequences from the infection. Do not underestimate the amount of trouble that someone else may go through. If you're planning on visiting anyone who may be at higher risk, maybe they're older, particularly over the age of 70, maybe they have other risk factors such as high blood pressure or perhaps obesity, or they're overweight. All of these things can contribute to a poorer outcome. So please do keep that in mind and use extra caution around those groups. Make sure you're quarantining, testing, distancing, hand sanitizing, wearing your masks, and all of those things. And that could be somebody that you care about and that you're visiting, or it could be somebody that you work with or that you serve in some capacity through your job. So just things to think about as we're going forward. Some of you have also asked me about the schools and 5th and 6th grade, potentially going back for HSE schools, and what do I think? And my comment to you is that this has been part of our metrics from the beginning. In fact, if you're able to cohort kids, so cohorting really is the key to successfully bringing kids back into the classroom. So that's really the trick also. So cohorting means that the same kids are kept together all day. So this is really important from introduction of new germs and mixing of people who may be getting germs from many other places, decreasing the risk, decreasing the amount of potential quarantines, decreasing the number of exposures to teachers. All of these things are really important. So that is why we have that special word carved out. So in the case where you can cohort different groups, then it would be acceptable for them to go back at our community risk level of yellow. It's a form of a social bubble that we're creating by cohorting. So we recommend that you do that in your social lives as well. Just stick with the same people. Quit introducing lots of additional potential exposures, basically. Continue to use your masks and distancing and sanitizing. All of these things are really important. And it's important to do them all together because they all provide a different layer of protection for you and for our community as a whole. We actually haven't seen any transmissions in our classrooms at this point from kid to kid in the classroom. So these measures are working. So that's why we have them in place. It doesn't mean that it's not infectious in a school. It means that the fact that we have these measures in place is keeping the transmission in schools at a minimum level. If we do see a case-to-case transmission in a school classroom, that means the whole class has to quarantine. So we are watching for these. Transmission out of school is really where most of our cases are occurring, but it is important that we continue to quarantine and isolate and follow those measures as we've been recommending. So I really appreciate you guys pitching in on those. It's also okay to tell yourself that none of this is normal. So please, give yourself a little grace, give your kids some grace. It's okay to say that these are unusual times, and think about some actions that you can take to make a positive impact on the community. Are you able to volunteer? Are you able to organize activities for your neighborhood? Make this a little bit of a funner experience for all of us involved. I love the creativity that everybody showed during our quarantine lockdown period. I would love to see that again as we're headed into the winter. We're all going to need all the extra ideas and support. And I know that our community can provide it. Thanks so much, everybody. You guys take care.